Entry form to win big at the monthly draws, including round-trip tickets to Manila, $500 ASC gift certificates, and more. See posters and print ads for more. Special thanks to Sky Zone, Fundamental Writers, Vince Jewelers, and Wendy's.
IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Why am I running? Because IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Whoa! We're talking chicken sandwiches, chicken and waffles, even chicken and pancakes. But move it, Gray Van! IHOP has crispy chicken!
Run in to try IHOP's new buttermilk crispy chicken strips and pancakes for just $6.99. For a limited time, price and participating restaurants may vary.
New concerns from Japan's government over recent missile tests by North Korea.
While President Trump has largely downplayed North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's 7 short-range missile tests in the past month, Japan's defense minister has not, who says they pose a grave problem which can't be overlooked. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles, which follow a predictable path, missile experts say these new North Korean missiles are more erratic and harder to predict, challenging modern missile defense systems. At the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
A former Google engineer charged today with stealing company secrets on self-driving cars, then selling them to Uber. The charges stem from a lawsuit which saw Uber pay nearly $250 million to Google's Waymo division. Anthony Lewandowski facing 33 counts of trade secrets theft. His attorneys maintain their client is innocent. He faces decades in a federal prison if convicted. Well, hold on to those final few weeks of summer.
Feels like summer now, and then here comes the polar coaster. The Farmer's Almanac, charming weather word for the mix of snow and frigid temperatures on the way for winter 2020, lingering into spring, calling for bitterly cold winter conditions from east of the Rockies all the way to the Appalachians, free-falling frigid temperatures from the northern plains into the Great Lakes, extra cold northeast big city winters with above normal precip and a polar coaster ride of lots of snow and wintry mix. Only the western third of the country gets near normal winter temperatures. Chilly but near normal precip in the northwest and southwest. Farmer's Almanac editors say don't blame them, but their mathematical, astronomical formula developed in 1818. Therese Crowley, Fox News.
A dilly of a theft in northern New Mexico. 31-year-old Paul Trujillo is charged with burglary and larceny. Police say he was one of 2 men who broke into a Dairy Queen freezer, stealing 22 boxes of dilly bars. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Whether it's for business or pleasure, staying connected when you travel is always essential. And now when you travel to South Korea, enjoy free data roaming with Docomo Pacific. Navigate the city, look up the best restaurants, email back home, or post all your pictures, all on the go for free. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your postpaid account is ready for roaming. You plus Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See print ad for details.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip. From custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps, they have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird.
Circle K has a 3-pound rotisserie chicken, now available for the introductory price of $9.99. It's the biggest, tastiest, and most affordable rotisserie chicken of its kind on island. Save even more by getting a family meal with 2 sides and a bottle of wine for only $25.99. The Circle K rotisserie chicken. Get yours today. Circle K. Take it easy.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Public health officials have confirmed an imported case of dengue fever on Guam. It's the second confirmed case of the disease this year. This case originating in Yap, according to officials. The first case earlier this year came from Palau, according to a news release issued yesterday by the Department of Public Health. Territorial epidemiologist Ann Pobutsky said in the past the majority of suspected dengue cases came from the Philippines, but there have been recent outbreaks in the FSM and in the Marshall Islands. So it's no surprise, she said, that visitors, travelers to those islands have brought the disease back to Guam. Pobutsky said that dengue fever is not endemic on Guam and the virus transmission is not occurring on island. There have been 41 reported cases of dengue fever on Guam in the past 31 years, plus the 2 confirmed cases this year. All of them have been contracted off-island, according to health officials. Also from Public Health yesterday, a 6-month-old baby has been diagnosed with whooping cough, a highly contagious bacterial disease, also known as pertussis. This is the 6th confirmed case of the disease in the past 3 months. It's not an outbreak yet, said the territorial epidemiologist Pobutsky, but another confirmed case of pertussis is of concern, she said. The 75th Liberation Committee spent over $578,000 on entertainers, caterers, fireworks, flowers, security, and more to put on this year's 75th Liberation Carnival and Parade. The list of payments obtained by the Guam Daily Post shows nearly 100 vendor payment checks issued between May 21st and August 8th. According to the list, the committee collected $17,000 more from vendors than what they paid out to vendors, but that does not include the $478,000 paid by the bidders who won the right to operate the games of chance and run the house of cards. The cost of providing fireworks was among the top expenses. 4 checks totaling $75,000 were paid to Jams Media for that. Production costs for the headline performance by Guam-born singer and actress Pia Mia were just over $20,000, and hotel costs for the U.S. entertainers totaled over $21,000. Security exceeded $54,000 in payments, and $1,800 was spent to cater a pride breakfast held at Government House during the Liberation festivities. We'll have more news after this.
This is Ronnie. Ronnie is about to break his piggy bank.
Come on, piggy bank.
Ronnie wants to upgrade his smartphone.
And this piggy's gonna help me.
If Ronnie had signed up for GTA's handset payment option, he could have selected a new smartphone with an affordable monthly plan.
I could have what?
Exactly. Sign up for HBO at GTA and don't break the bank.
I'm sorry, piggy bank.
Terms and conditions apply. GTA, we start with you.
Coast 360 introduces our new youth banking program. Give your kids and teens a head start with Kids 360 and Teen 360, a program designed to help your child develop smart financial habits and learn about money. Introduce them to banking and get them on a path towards a thriving financial future. Plus, new youth members get a special lunch tote just in time for back to school, while supplies last. Learn more at coast360fcu.com or visit your favorite member center. Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. The Port Authority of Guam has set aside about $884,000 to cover the cost of paying back wages to 9 former employees, including Agate Mayor Kevin Siswico and 5 workers terminated for their reported involvement in an allegedly fraudulent workers' compensation claim 8 years ago. The set-aside is included in the Port's 2020 budget that was approved by the Board of Directors of the Port yesterday afternoon. Port Controller Jojo Guevara presented the budget to the Board, explaining that the set-aside is there just in case it will be folded back into the budget if it does not have to be paid out. Of the 9 employees covered by the set-aside, 5 were fired from the Port in December 2012 over an allegedly fraudulent workers' compensation claim filed by former Port marketing manager Bernadette Stern Meno over a fall Meno said she suffered in a Port bathroom in September 2011. 3 of the former Port workers, Vivian Leon, Josette Javalosa, and Meno herself, have hearings scheduled for today before the Civil Service Commission on their motions to either dismiss or void their terminations. The Department of Agriculture's Forestry Division will continue its effort to reforest the island this weekend. On Saturday, agriculture officials and volunteers will gather at Morito's Manel watershed and plant about 4,000 trees from 8 o'clock in the morning until just after noon. Senator Clint Rigel and volunteers from various organizations of the freely associated states will be taking part. That, according to a release from the senator's office, more than 300,000 trees have been planted across the island in the past decade. Agriculture officials say planting trees helps prevent soil erosion and runoff into the coastal waters around the island, which have suffocated reefs and polluted the waters. Once the trees are grown, they also create a barricade against grass fires because they help hold moisture in the ground. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Chris and Mike now with a look at our weather.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Welcome to Windy Wednesday. I like it, Mike. The summary today is drier weather will settle in for the next couple of days with plenty of sunshine, warm temperatures, and isolated showers. Our forecast will call for partly sunny with isolated showers and thunderstorms, northeast winds near 10 miles per hour, highs around 89, lows near 77. Sunrise this morning was at 6:09. Sunset's going to be at 6:35. And now for Duke Sky Tucker, weather in command, maybe from the radar, Michael Knight.
There we go. Thanks, brother. And we'll go ahead and jump over, take a look at the radar right now, and we can see the northeasterly winds is back, as we talked about yesterday, so the sailors will love that a little bit better. Got some showers down to the southeast, but they're petering out as we get through the night. There's really not a whole lot of support for shower activity because we have, quite literally, drier air moving in from the east. Let's go ahead and switch over to the satellite picture, and we'll kind of take a look at that. Let's put the pointer up there. It's kind of funny because this big blob of weather to the west of us, just a couple of days ago, that was on top of us, and I could see some rotation in the clouds, and I got a hold of Landon, was talking to him about that, and he was like, yeah, there may be a little, but there's nothing expected to develop. But indeed, that particular system is looking like it's getting its act together. The weather models don't show much in the way of anything happening there. So, yeah, but it's kind of interesting to see how sometimes you could see that happening in those radar loops if you take a really good look and know what you're looking at.
Is that in the Chute zone?
That's good. No, that's down. That's close to Yap now. It's, and it's moving over. It's northeast of Yap and Palau, and continuing to move to the west. Further off to the west is a big blob that's moving off the screen. That is Tropical Storm Jenny. It's called in the Philippines. It's also called Podul in the JMA and the official sources for the WMO. Podul is a North Korean word for willow tree. That's crossing the Philippines right now up north, probably bringing a little bit of rain to them, but not as much as they thought. They had closed some schools and stuff in around Metro Manila, and then it turned out they had a really nice day yesterday. So people over there, well, people aren't real happy about that. They are they're complaining because the Weather Service just can't seem to get its act together over there in the Philippines. For us, though, yeah, we're just looking at a pretty nice day today. Things will dry out much more for the next couple of days. The Weather Service said maybe some moisture moving in for the weekend, but they can't really be sure right now, and they can't give a certain forecast for the Labor Day holiday. But for now, if you've made any plans, go ahead and stick to them.
All right. Thanks a lot. And that's weather with Chris and Mike on The Point.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65% for travel, back to school, a wedding. Do whatever you want with the money. We just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
Hey, Ray Gibson Show here, brought to you by my friends over at Wendy's. Get ready for the Bacon Fest. That needs to be a thing. It needs to be. There's got to be a village on Guam that ditches. You know, we got that little cultural thing. They do the Banana Fest, the Crab Fest, whatever. There needs to be a village on Guam that does the Bacon Fest. Anyway, until then, you can get your hands on the Baconator from the people that sell more bacons, cheeseburgers than anybody on the planet, making all of your Applewood smoked dreams come true. They've got a bacon jalapeno cheeseburger or the bacon double stack in the $5 biggie bag. Get yours now at Wendy's Bacon Fest. The Ray Gibson Show also being brought to you by American President Lines, a global presence with a local address. Cars Plus, who's they've expanded now the whole summer of Jeep. Everybody back to school, everybody flying off to the States for college. But these guys say, no, the summer of Jeep is not over yet. Won't be over until the end of August. So you still got time to go and do the test drive, check out the financing, check out the parts and the accessory shop for your Grand Cherokee, Cherokee Compass, or the Jeep Wrangler at Cars Plus. And finally, Ray Gibson Show brought to you by someplace I was lurking last night watching to see how many people were taking advantage, and it was a lot, of that special 2-for-1 deal they've got over at Ruby Tuesdays. Starts with an endless garden bar, and you can go back and forth as many times as you want to. Then you get an entree for you and an entree for him or her, whoever it is that's picking up the tab, and then you get to determine who is going to, what you're going to be doing about dessert. They got a couple of different desserts there that you can share if you want to. You get it? When I say share, we play a share song. You feeling that? Anyway, we've got the New York cheesecake or the other one, which is just a to die for chocolate mess. You're going to love eating this at Ruby Tuesdays on Tuesdays.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. You're on the point. You're with us on the point. And I could never do this without the very, very professional Kevin Kerrigan. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Chris.
And Michael actually allowed me in the door this morning, so I must be surviving. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, it's, company policy. We got to let you in because they don't want me doing the show.
Okay. Well, good enough then. Oh, all right. Well, let's get started. You got Windy Wednesday. I like it.
Yeah, well, it's Wednesday with Chris Duenas. It's actually not going to be too windy. It's about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So.
Well, good enough. I like it. It wouldn't have been with what I was thinking about. Be careful of communicable disease Wednesday.
Oh yeah, that's a bit wordy.
Those are in the headlines.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do the legislature watch.
Nice.
I texted Ray last night. I didn't expect to get a text back until this morning.
Right.
He said I could do this, Michael. So
okay.
I'm gonna do a little something special.
Right.
I'm gonna have a little fun. Here on the point, Kevin. Here on the point, Kevin and Mike, we are big supporters of small business. And I don't know about you, but I like food trucks. And so what I wanted to do, and Ray said I could do it. He said, as long as I'm having fun with it, I'm going to go into Facebook in just a little bit. But I've always wanted to do this on the radio just to help the guys out. And we're going to do Food Truck Watch today. So if you guys on Facebook have a friend, a relative, if you are a food truck vendor, hit us up on Facebook. Tell us where your food truck's going to be today, and I'll call it out. Or you can call us at 888-8255. Call in your food truck. Tell us where it's going to be, and we'll let all of our listeners know so that when that rumbling starts to happen in the tummy and they're getting ready to grab their grinds.
Yeah.
All right.
And it goes without saying that free samples are always welcome.
Free samples are always welcome. If anyone from the point shows up and your business increases exponentially, go ahead and kick us a fries or maybe a free drink.
Yeah.
Or whatever you're serving. Chicken on a stick. So anyways, I will go to Facebook before I riff on my opening monologue.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Oh, yes, and the coveted top 10. Michael, that gets the first comments going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How it comes in. I really dig this. This is so much fun. So, boom, boom, top 10. Pat, Norma Jean Flores came in at number 1. Lillian Cruz at number 2. Senator Tony and his wife, Annette, came in number 3. James Lester Lanzo came in number 3 or 4. John Titano, number 5. Smug Wimp, hey, you got in there, buddy. Number 6. Yochi Ringel, number 7, Ali. Number 8, Jen Amir Torres Yonis. And number 9, Deloitte Briola. And number 10, Pam Duvall. Pam, you made it again. I think she's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, she's usually one of the first ones to show up.
Okay, so then we got the honorable mention, Sabine B. Nachargalov. Okay, and there we go. Couple of comments. I know I got an Ali from Ringale. Let's see, Pat Norma Jean Flores says good morning. Good morning, Pat, and got some emojis there. Got Manana Sidzuus from John Taitano, and Smug Wimp. He has confidence in me. He said we'll make him a radio pro yet. Smug Wimp, I really appreciate that. I need all the kudos that I can get. Anyways, so the morning monologue, Legislature Watch. It was a fun one yesterday, Mike. Can I get the cha-ching?
Sorry, wrong button. My bad.
No worries. No worries. Anyways, so Legislature Watch, you know, I think if I were to boil it down, I probably watched maybe a total of 3.5 hours of it. No question, if I was scoring, Therese Terlahi is tearing it up on the floor. But before that, the afternoon session or the morning session that I actually caught the most of, and sometime in the afternoon, the thing that caught my eye the most was the back and forth with John Fernandez, Department of Education.
Yeah.
And you know what? I felt bad for the guy because, you know, there was once again, you know, the laundry list of you know, things to do at Department of Education, and senators putting out their you know, what about this? What about this? I'm getting calls about this, and in terms of you know, the infrastructure. And the physical structure and everything going you know, that goes into educating our children.
Right.
And so, you know, John's a pretty level-headed guy. He just kind of sits there, and I think he's attorney by trade, actually. So I think he's used to kind of listening and just building up for his rebuttal.
Mm.
So his rebuttal basically was, okay, we understand, and we've told the legislature time and time again that we have $90 million in deferred maintenance. Because last year and probably this year, we will experience, and hopefully not more than, a $19 million shortfall in our budget. Mm-hmm. And if you want us, because we are absolutely capable of going out and basically doing what it needs to be done to procure all the repairs and do all this capital improvement. But even if we went to the market and did that, say, for example, in a bond for all the schools in disrepair right now, and put out one big bond, or even went school by school, how are we going to pay for it? How do you pay for debt service on infrastructure for our schools when you don't even have enough for your operational costs? You can't do anything with debt service. So it brought me to the fact that, you know, we just opened schools. I think we're on our third week. And, or maybe in our second, or probably on our third, one or the other. And we opened schools, and you always see every year the two major events before school openings or when school opens, but the week leading up to it is volunteers, massive number of folks, GovGuam, private entities donating paint, donating all kinds of materials and supplies, food companies coming in and feeding the help of those who go in there to get these schools ready, and everything else. But, you know, there's an exception, Mike. There's actually 5 schools that don't go through that whole you know, dance, song and dance. And those schools are JFK, Adakal Elementary, Ukudu High, Liguan Elementary, and Estumbo Middle. Mike, can you guess why?
Well, I haven't been long enough here to really know for sure, but I'm guessing because those are, with the exception of JFK, they may be some of the newer schools.
Actually, JFK is the newest of the bunch.
Okay.
But that's not the reason.
Okay.
It's because they're under a lease-back contract. During the Camacho administration, there was a program that was put together, and a dedicated funding source, dedicated compact impact, which is basically almost a guaranteed funding source annually from the federal government. And there was launched a program whereby investment groups bid for build, operate, and transfer schools. And so essentially, I believe in the year, in 23 years from the commencement of the contract, probably from occupancy permit going forward, they would, for a price, and I believe it's close to $7 million for the 4 schools, and then for JFK, that's a standalone. I don't know what the debt service is that there annually. But that means that Department of Education basically has to put their teachers, make sure the kids are bused to that school, and maybe a couple of other things. But other than that, that school is completely run by the contractor. And you drive by JFK every day, and it's always got a fresh coat of paint on it. From what I understand from parents and friends, that's my alma mater. You know, the school has always got supplies. You know, they have what they need. The bathrooms are clean. And it's a conducive environment to teaching and learning. And, you know, if you really look at it, we harp on education. We harp on the quality of education for our children. We harp on what expectations we have. And the bottom line is I have to say, you know, I can understand why this is a big distraction for the superintendent and their staff, because really they should be concentrating on teaching and learning. That's what the staff of Department of Education should be concentrating on. What are we doing in the classroom? How are we communicating with parents? How are we making sure our school system is there to be able to serve?
That's pretty much what they spent $80,000 learning how to do.
Absolutely. And so, you know, I had to feel for John. I know that he's very capable. He's done a great job as the superintendent. And once again, going back to our priorities, where are our priorities? If this system has proven to work, let's move on it. You know, let's make sure that if we're going to sit around and have $90 million of stacked up, pent up, we know there's never going to be operational funding to be able to deal with that, then why even try to be in the school business in terms of its physical structure anymore? Just get out of the business. Get to it. Make sure that, you do the proper bidding. I know that Simon Sanchez is up, you know, for reconstruction and the like. And, you know, just let's get on with it. Let's face the fact that we are not good at doing building maintenance, and we are not good at funding building maintenance once and for all. And just say, we want an education system, a public education system that concentrates on teaching and learning. And that's my riff for the morning.
Right on. You know, what surprises me so much about Guam is there are so many places, and I know everyone here gets tired of hearing about, oh, well, where I came from, we do it. Okay, that's not where I'm going. What I'm saying is there are so many places out there who are running great programs. Why? And all of this information is, I mean, this is not 1960. It's not like you got to travel 4,000 miles and go visit and actually. No, you can go online. You can talk to people. You can ask them, how are y'all doing this? Mm-hmm. We need to actually start incorporating some better ways because the ways things are being done around here is just not working.
It doesn't work. And I'll tell you right now, I'll never make an excuse for any preparation of a student. You know, you'll hear a number of different reasons of why we have low test scores. You'll have a number of different reasons on why, certain outcomes exist. It is public education, come one, come all, like the hospital. You know, I mean, the bottom line is that it's what we do, and I feel for teachers and administrators because there's a lot of challenges, you know, with the whole structure and how we need parental involvement and all that. But take away all that, Mike. The bottom line is a kid should be able to walk into a functioning, operating school, mm-hmm. and it shouldn't be, the annual trek to the legislature to realize we have a $90 million, deferred maintenance. And thank God for the federal government, because the superintendent said last year we were able to do a few things. They gave us $5 million, and we're working on things here and there. And it's not as though they don't have the plans, but I just think that, I'm going to I'll hold this belief, until they bury me on this island. And the bottom line is, we have no business being in school infrastructure, school business in terms of the building facilities. We need to stay in the business of educating and training our children. And now we're going to go to Mike. I was with Mike. We're going to Kevin.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning: the Guam Department of Education hoping to free up $2.5 million that it now spends every year on a third-party fiduciary appointed by the U.S. Department of Education. That fiduciary oversees the department's finances. Guam DOE has been a high-risk recipient of federal education funds since 2003, which has resulted in the appointment of that third-party oversight. During testimony in the budget bill yesterday at the legislature, Superintendent John Fernandez said he received a letter from U.S. DOE informing him that a fourth condition had been removed, leaving only 3 more conditions imposed by the federal government that still need to be addressed. Senator Therese Terlahi asked for the update on the fiduciary, saying the end of the third-party fiduciary could free up funds for other DOE needs. Fernandez attributed much of the progress to the outgoing Deputy Superintendent, Talene Taitno, who recently announced her resignation. Taitno will be the new Chief Financial Officer at the Guam Waterworks Authority. If you're asking if we're making progress, said Fernandez, the answer is yes. He said Taitno did a lot of work to drive the financial improvements. Well-known island environmentalist and avid recycler Peggy Denny came to the defense of the Mayor's Council of Guam over a pile of trash left by the now shuttered House of Cards at the Paseo. Denny telling the Guam Daily Post that cleaning up the pile was not the responsibility of the Mayor's Council. She said she was doing the recycling and sorting of the waste and hauling it away from the carnival, but the cardboard pile got wet, so it could not be immediately recycled. She was waiting for it to dry out. Mayor's Council Executive Director Angel Sablan said the debris came from the signage from the entrances and common areas during the carnival. He said it was not vendor waste and was placed there by the carnival committee. The Department of Public Works cleared the trash away on Friday, said Sablan, and the Mayor's Council used DPW's account to pay the tipping fee. A traffic stop along Swamp Road ended with the confiscation of methamphetamine and the arrest of 28-year-old Matthew Thogenmar. A patrol officer pulled over a white 1996 Toyota Corolla after noticing the driver was not wearing a seatbelt. Thogenmar gave the officer a bogus name and told him he didn't have a driver's license. According to the magistrate complaint, inside the car, the officer found 2 glass pipes and recovered 2 small plastic bags containing residue that later field tested positive for meth. Thogenmar admitted that he traded some marijuana for the meth, and the original name he gave to the officer was false. He's now facing an allegation of possession of a Schedule II controlled substance. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
News time on the point as 6:35.
It's iConnect time. Swing by an iConnect and ask them about great rates on mobile and internet plans. Or look them up yourself at iConnectGuam.com.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your NFL fix every Friday on Sports with Blake. Be a part of the action by going to yahoo.com's Fantasy Sports Pro Football Pick'em. Join League 3384 with the password Ray Gibson. Choose your team name and get your game on. Winners get a chance to win some awesome prizes that get you through the NFL season. The NFL Picks on the Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by Current Guam.
Half a day and traffic on the point. Looks pretty light overall, but I'm going to pick my top 3 here. Route 10A by the airport normally starts to pick up. So keep an eye out there. Tamuning, actually kind of right out in front of us. Kmart intersection looked like going north also, getting crowded. Micronesia Mall, typical area. The Micronesia Mall intersection there, loading up. And it looks like it might be getting a little bit Route 3, the normal 3 and 1. That's getting a little crowded, and also maybe getting a little bit starting to pick up over there by Ukudu High School. So watch out for those kids going into their school that is ready for them to learn, because it's a private school, privately maintained. And that's traffic on the point.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65%. For travel, back to school, a wedding, do whatever you want with the money. We just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hafa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mescla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mescla, a true taste of Guam.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Up today, and welcome back to the Ray Gibson Show. Sitting in for Ray, I'm Chris Duenas. Ray's having a blast out there, I hope, on vacation in Manila. And you know, as the entrance to this segment, basically we start with giving out our phone number. Give us a call if you agree, disagree. I actually prefer you to disagree, but if you agree too, and you got some other good points, come on in and let's go ahead and call on in and let's go ahead and talk about it. My Senator Tony says, "Good morning, bro." Ron and Cindy De La Rosa, good morning. Heather Paris, same here. Tom Tahazi, good morning, everyone. Someone was on earlier that I didn't see. I know you guys are all communicating amongst yourself, but somebody was on earlier saying kids should not have to share books. I completely agree. And kids should not only have to not share books, but kids should be able to go to a school infrastructure, a school structure that is ready for them to learn. Our good friend Bob Klitsky, of course, introduced the legislation, every child is entitled to an adequate education. And basically, 14 points, is that, Kevin? 12, 14 points, something along those lines. Basically, that is the roadmap to a basic school. And I guess maybe, Kevin, the reason why I'm riffing on this so hard is because, you know, I was a part of two legislatures, and that's how far it goes back, to where time and time and time again, we were trying to appropriate money to build Simon Sanchez. I mean, that was hot front burner item during my time. We did everything that we could, you know, to make that possible. And, you know, the bottom line was just the grinder that the legislature can be sometimes. And if it's taken this long for us to just try to build Simon Sanchez, I mean, we may as well throw in the towel and just get ready to go here and do a massive, bond proposal on leaseback for the entire school system. What do you think, Kev?
Beyond our means. We're nearly at the debt limit.
Okay, so it's beyond our means, and we're nearly at the debt limit. So then it sounds like maybe what we're going to have to do is go into some sort of public-private partnerships. Because if you look at the lease back,
those are so costly. Yesterday during the testimony, which apparently you watched, Fernandez did say that he is working with GITA on a U.S. Department of Agriculture loan, which may be cheaper and at a much lower interest rate than going through a leaseback arrangement. But so Kevin, that holds out some hope.
But Kevin, and I don't know the numbers on this, so I'm with you. I'm following you, and I'm down with where you're going. But then what happens if it's our school, and in 5 years, because we're never going to appropriate enough money for maintenance, how long does a brand new house take to start to turn to crap if you don't maintain it?
I don't know, but some hope was proffered yesterday by the superintendent, who said that they are working on getting a loan from the U.S. Department of Agriculture at a low interest rate, a long-term loan, and that may be the best way to go. So there's hope there.
Sure, and I got it, and I got the debt ceiling thing, and I like all that, and I appreciate that perspective, Kevin, because there always has to be balance, regardless. But my thing is, if those schools were new at one point, and there are private schools. There are private schools, Michael, that still have cement walls and not a cement roof. A very, very hard mahogany wood with tin on top of it. They've coated well, that they've preserved, that they've put insulation on top of. You can go to private schools around the island here that were built in the late 60s, 70s, that are ready for kids to come walk in the door and learn. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So, my thing is that we're just not good at it. It's just not what we do. And if it's expensive, my God, we got the most expensive utility rates. I hope we talked to Simon Sanchez today. We got a call out to him. It looks like there's good news, at least from the editorials today, at least from releases that have come out of CCU and the procurement for a new power plant. It looks like there's potential good news for rate relief eventually down the line with a big new shiny $400 million, I guess is what it looks like a power plant. You got, once again, DOE, once again, Kevin, talking about, hey, I really would like to get our power bills down by 20 and 30%. If we can get our act together on ensuring that more solar goes up on our schools, to lower our energy rates so we have more money for operations. And, there's a lot of projects out there. There's a lot of potential out there. But the fact of the matter is just I guess my point is if we can pay some of the highest rates in utilities, water and power, and all the massive upgrades that are going on within our infrastructure system for utilities, I got to put our children right up there with that. And so, expensive, I guarantee you that new power plant is not going to be cheap. And, in that new power plant, I would imagine will probably, and I guess I haven't, watched it close enough to know how that procurement's going. I think that's going to be a build operate. And so that is along the same lines. I looked at, I did the 23, I think it was 23 or 25 years, somewhere around but 6.8, 6.9 million for the 4 schools, not including JFK now. But Kevin, amortized over the 23 years, I think it was 170, 180 million. But that's for 23 years. And we have deferred maintenance right now that's half of that. So I don't know, the math to me says we don't do it well. The math tells me even if we're close to the debt ceiling, that the bottom line is we have to change the model of the way we're doing things. And I'd hate to build new schools and then sadly have them fall into disrepair.
What needs to happen here on Guam, Chris, is a restructuring of all levels of government. There's too much overlap. There's too much dead space. There's too much waste. And I've gone on the air and said this before. It is a product of the old Spanish system of government that was established here before the white folks got here, and that lingered over. That's why you have 19 mayors on an island of less than 200,000 people. It's ridiculous. You don't need that much overlap. Maybe a long time ago when all of these villages were very far separate from each other, yes. But it's not that time now. And unfortunately, over the years, Guam has grown but has not adjusted to that growth. And so the systems that are in place now from the top all the way down, it's just garbage. It just needs to be completely overhauled. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to mean some people in government are not going to be working in government anymore. Hey, go get a real job. Sorry, but that's just how it's got to be. If we really want things to get straightened out here, we're going to have to restructure most of the government here.
So I see that Simon is confirmed, and I thanks a lot, Simon. I'm looking forward to talking to you because, the thing is that, I don't want to go down that road. There has been a couple of bumps, but, Bob and I, along the over the years, and my good friend Mark Forbes introduced the bill that created the CCU, and I tell you what, I mean, by and large, they've got it right. And they have done so much. They took us from the bowels of rolling power outages and water that I boiled one time that looked like miso soup. I'm not kidding you. My brand new home that I built in 2001 down in Afami, and the water was so bad. I actually called John Anderson at the time. That goes back that far. On another station, and I basically said, with a boil water notice, I boiled my water, and I can't believe what I'm looking at. I mean, it was that horrible, and that's part of the ta'ud, and this is the whole history of how bad it was over there for a while. They called it Hanumtaki because there was sometimes inundation with cracked pipes and different things that were happening under the water. If the pressure of the water didn't keep up, then you could have seepage back into your main line, and I mean, it was that bad. And so the bottom line is that what I'm calling for, and my call out right now is, let's just stop the charade. The bottom line is if we got mad enough about utilities, we should basically, be mad enough about we are not supposed to be in the business of building and maintaining schools. We're supposed to be in the business of educating children when we're talking about education. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and in that respect, I have to respectfully disagree. I mean, I come from places where municipalities actually are in charge of maintaining and dealing with their schools, but it's because they have the system in place that allows them to fund this stuff and get it done.
Property taxes.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, that's why I say the way
we could
things...
use a little increase in the property tax around here.
Well, we just did the or more bill, right?
Yeah, for $1 million properties or more.
Or more. And so where's the money going to, Kevin? It's going to the general fund. I mean, if that was allocated, to Department of Education, fine. So now you got $9 million. So now you're $10 million short. See?
Property taxes.
Property taxes. I mean, the thing is, and I think people would probably be okay if they saw a plan. If they saw something that they thought would work on property taxes. Because with utilities, Mike, I know Kevin and Mike, you have no choice. I mean, you're either going to have power or not have power, and you're going to pay what they're selling it for. And like I said, our guys are trying. They're trying with solar. They're trying with, they know that the plant's so antiquated that in order for them to build and bring about efficient delivery and bring the cost down, they need to move into the modern era.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is that I don't disagree with you a bit, Kevin. I know, I got family in the States. I go there, we sit around the table, have a beer, have a cup of coffee, and it's like, they scratch their head. The second half of the year is there, and on a $250,000 home, $300,000 home, they're paying probably $8,000-9,000 a year in taxes. On a $300,000 home here, you're probably paying maybe $700. So 10%, 15%. But our people are so taxed out, and they're so tired of hearing, we need money and taxes for this, because they just don't see the plan. They don't see the success. But the reason why I go back, and maybe what I'm trying to say here, folks, is that the reason why I'm highlighting, even though they're expensive, I'm highlighting them, Mike, because you can drive over to JFK right now, and you would be happy to drop your kid off at the front door.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But of the 41 schools, there's only 5 of them that you're actually going to be happy about doing that. And I'm not I'm not, pointing fingers at anybody in particular, but it's a systemic problem, and it's simply got to stop, because you cannot ask, a superintendent to be a whipping dog for something that he just doesn't have the resources to deal with it. And you also cannot ask children to consistently go to a school every day, that's just not, for a first world country, is just not adequate. And so there we go. Facebook is hot. James Howard, 25 billion is projected cannabis sales next year countrywide. If we can take and lock 1% of that market, Asia, then we, and good schools, like I said, can have good schools, funded, hospital funded, tourism, branding for Guam, positive. James, white flag. If cannabis is the answer, cannabis is the answer. Nick Porosky, stop the insanity. Sandra DeLingrero, Mike is so right. Joe Cruz, wish we all could have a brand new home with miso soup running from the faucet. Yeah, you're right, Joe. I worked my butt off for that brand new home, and I'm still paying for it. But yeah, Joe, I disagree with you, though. I don't think that you would want miso soup coming. Maybe what I should have said is, it looked like miso soup.
Yeah, that's not good.
Because the truth is, if you could have a tap on your faucet, and I think you can hit the hooray button for this. If you had a tap on your system in your house that you opened and miso soup came out, real miso soup, Joe, I'd go for that too. Right on, Joe. Love your sense of humor.
Only if it's warm, though, because cold miso soup tastes like crap.
Yeah, no, it would have to be on the hot side. Yeah, it would definitely have to be on the hot side. No question about that. So anyways, of course, once again, 888-8255 if, you want to chat about this. So the second part of my legislature watch was interesting to me. One of the reasons why it's so important to have this, discussion not over, 5 or 6 days is because this is the kind of stuff that happens. I think we're probably on page 40 something or on Legislature Watch, probably 100 and some pages to go. But this is what happens when we get down into the details. And, of course, you got 15 members of the legislature. Amendments are flying. Arguments are happening over what an amendment means and the like. But meanwhile, the BBMR director says, hey, don't worry about the line agencies. They don't need to be here. They're fine with their budgets. So, that's cool. My question is, are the senators fine with not being able to ask them if they're fine with their budgets? And, are senators also, needing information if they want to propose amendments for those particular line agencies? So I found that interesting, too, that, basically, maybe in the spirit of they really are okay with everything and they can manage with what they got. But maybe it's a little bit about, too, we got to get on with this because we got to pass this budget. And I'm just going to say, once again, I think that is an absolute disservice to this process. And so one of the other big arguments that erupted was an argument over the Cancer Trust Fund. And with the limited overall overview that I've had of that, that trust fund, Michael, was basically a transfer of a corpus of money from the Healthy Futures Fund to be invested by the university and to create more growth with regard to that corpus of funding, so that it would generate a revenue source for helping cancer patients. And once again, Therese Terlahi, fighting on the floor. There was an amendment to move. Originally, I think it was $3 million from Healthy Futures Fund, and it was lowered to $2 million. And what I found more interesting was the conversation on how we had to go back and really update the numbers, because it started out with the increases in the Healthy Futures Fund in terms of taxes, it started out, I believe, from 18 tracking forward, or maybe 19, to being $10 million, in surplus. Then it was revised to $6 million in surplus because it's not tracking. And then it was revised to, I believe, $4 million because of already obligated funds being spent through legislation. Now, one thing that's interesting is I had a couple of issues that I faced with this in my time at the legislature and the governor's office. Here's another interesting thing, Mike. A lot of times things can be appropriated and appropriations can be made. And sometimes if they're not paying attention and not tracking it and not getting the fiscal note for it, then actually they over appropriate. And so one time I got a call saying, hey, where's our funding for one of the GVV projects? And I called up the analyst at BBMR and said, hey, there's a problem with this program's supposed to move forward, and for some reason the funding's being held up. And it's like, yeah, well, we did a reconciliation of that account and it's over appropriated. But, if that program's ready to go, then it's going to get the money because it's whatever program's ready first until the money runs out. And so, Senator Chalahi's argument on the floor, I'm sure this amendment was very well intended and was designed to, help, without question, our most, vulnerable folks, those who are suffering from cancer and need any sort of help that they can get in terms of financial assistance and the like. But the thing was, as it progressed forward, it almost looked like we were moving money from an active account that could be spent on helping patients to what Therese said, and I think I can agree with her if it hasn't met expectations, is a questionable program at this point at best. And the reason why that money is locked up is it's locked up because of the fact that that's the way when the law that created its transfer to do what it was supposed to do, and that was generate revenue through investment, you had to lock down the corpus. You couldn't spend the corpus, otherwise you'd have nothing to invest. And so, yeah, it was very problematic. And once again, the shell game continues. Moving money here, moving money there, but being extra careful not to take it away from areas that are very critical. We hope you're enjoying your morning. Facebook is fired up. Kevin's fired up. Mike's fired up. I'm fired up. We're all fired up on the point. James Howard, I know, is going to come back and go, see, that's what I told you, Chris. Fire up. What's the bed you had before, Kevin? Light him up and take a smoke.
Yeah, but it's not 4:20 yet.
I hope you're having fun because I am. Come on back. Here on The Point.
You're listening to KUSG, Agatiano.
Opioid offer. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Purdue Pharma offering billions to settle lawsuits over the company's involvement in the marketing of opioids a day after an Oklahoma judge ruled Johnson & Johnson should pay millions for its opioid marketing. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal joins us live.
Some media reports said Purdue Pharma was offering $10 to $12 billion to settle more than 2,000 lawsuits. Now Purdue says in a statement that while they are prepared to defend the company vigorously, they see little good coming from years of litigation and appeals. Purdue makes the painkiller OxyContin. In the case of Johnson & Johnson, a judge in Oklahoma said the company engaged in false and dangerous marketing. Purdue has been open to settlements along the way, previously settling cases in Oklahoma for nearly $300 million, Rich.
Jessica, Iran's president president backpedaling on possible talks with President Trump.
In a speech in Tehran, Rouhani saying unless the US lifts sanctions, we will not witness any positive development. He said if someone just intends a meeting to be a photo opportunity, that is not possible. The Trump administration has imposed waves of sanctions on Iran since the US withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal last year.
Fox's Simon Owen in our European bureau. 16 women who had accused Jeffrey Epstein of sexually abusing them speaking out today at a hearing on the dead millionaire's sex trafficking case in a New York federal courtroom. Fox's Brian Yennis.
For some of these women, it was the first time they spoke publicly about their abuse and the first time they met other accusers. Now, though these women were robbed of the chance to face Epstein one-on-one in court because of his suicide, many were thankful that Judge Richard Berman gave them a chance to speak out.
The hearing was called after prosecutors asked charges against Epstein be dropped after his suicide while in federal custody. The judge not yet ruling on that motion. America is listening to Fox News.
"65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65% for travel, back to school, a wedding. Do whatever you want with the money. We just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
World Theater Productions presents Mamma Mia at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse on September 6, 7, and 8. See local and international artists in the biggest on-stage party of the season.
Half a day. This is AJ Raphael.
And Didi Magno Hall. Come and see us in Mamma Mia.
Also presented by Dusatani Guam Resort, Outrigger Guam Beach Resort, and the Plaza Shopping Center. Get your tickets now at WTPGuam.com, GNC, and 76 Circle K.
American stealth aircraft making a surprise deployment to Europe, a move likely intended to send a message to Russia.
3 nuclear-capable U.S. Air Force B-2 stealth bombers from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri have deployed outside Oxford, England. A statement from the Air Force says the deployment is meant to, quote, confront a broad range of global challenges. The statement did not mention Russia by name, but comes days after Russian President Vladimir Putin said he would respond to the U.S. testing a ground-launched cruise missile earlier this month. The Pentagon has increased its number of surprise deployments to keep potential adversaries off guard. At the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy says Russia has denied him a visa to enter the country. The member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee says he planned to take part in an upcoming bipartisan congressional trip to Russia. Republican Senator Ron Johnson also says he was denied a visa. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer restated his opposition to President Trump inviting Russian President Vladimir Putin to next year's G7 summit in the U.S. Former Google engineer Anthony Lewandowski facing 33 federal charges, accused of stealing trade secrets about self-driving vehicles from the company, then selling them to Uber.
A forensic investigation revealed that on or about December 11th, 2015, Lewandowski downloaded to his Google computer approximately 14,000 Google files.
U.S. Attorney David Anderson, Lewandowski's attorneys maintain their client's innocence. Some would-be robbers targeted the wrong victim in Chicago. Police say an adult and a teenager attacked 26-year-old Claire Quinn earlier this month, attempting to steal her cell phone. Turns out Quinn's a Chicago Golden Gloves boxing champion and punched one of the men with one fist while holding her purse and cell phone with the other. The adult was arrested. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Hafa, this is Robert Underwood. Chamorro self-determination is the belief that the native people of Guam deserve the opportunity to express their preference for the future political status of Guam. Since the Spanish arrived and the U.S. acquired Guam in 1898, the Chamorro people have never had the chance to formally express their preference for the island's future. Supporting self-determination is something all of us who love Guam and understand its history can support. This is why I invite all of you, regardless of your background or politics, to come out on September 2nd, 8 a.m. at Adelup for Fanohgi, March for Chamorro Self-Determination. This will be a peaceful and lawful walk from Adelup to the District Court. All are welcome, and it will be great for families and friends to bring signs and show their support for tomorrow's self-determination. Its time has come.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
7 o'clock news from the Guam Daily Post is being brought to you by Proline Automotive, customizing Guam's finest rides, located in the Harmon Industrial Park.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Public health officials have confirmed an imported case of dengue fever on island. It's the second confirmed case of the disease this year. This case originated in Yap, according to a release from Public Health. The first case earlier in the year came from Palau. Territorial epidemiologist Ann Pobutsky said in the past the majority of suspected dengue cases had come from the Philippines, but there have been some recent outbreaks in the FSM and in the Marshall Islands, so it's no surprise, she said, that visitors, travelers to those islands have brought the disease back to Guam. Pobutsky says that dengue fever is not endemic on island, and the dengue virus transmission is not occurring here. There have been 41 reported cases of dengue fever on Guam in the past 31 years, plus the 2 confirmed cases this year. All of them have been contracted off-island, according to public health officials. Also from public health yesterday, a 6-month-old baby has been diagnosed with whooping cough, a highly contagious bacterial disease, also known as pertussis. This is the 6th confirmed case of whooping cough in the past 3 months. It's not an outbreak yet, said Potovsky, but another confirmed case of pertussis is of concern, she said. Take Care Insurance has filed for a temporary restraining order in an effort to stop the Department of Administration from proceeding with the award of a health insurance contract covering more than 11,000 GovGuam employees and retirees. Take Care has already filed lawsuits in both District Court and Superior Court over the health insurance procurement process, challenging the law that requires them to provide coverage at Guam Regional Medical City. Take Care maintains those lawsuits should have stayed the efforts of both DOA and the Guam judiciary from proceeding with their separate health insurance procurement efforts. However, both the Department of Administration and the judiciary of Guam have gone ahead with their procurement of health insurance coverage for their employees. DOA Director Edward Burns says the department is proceeding with the award of a health insurance contract, and Judiciary spokesman Sean Gumatau telling the Guam Daily Post that Calvo Select Care has already been chosen as the health insurance provider for the Judiciary's roughly 400 employees. We'll have more news after this.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip. From custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps, they have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local inspired breakfast. AM loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
10 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. Port Authority of Guam has set aside about $884,000 to cover the cost of paying back wages to 9 former port employees, including Agate Mayor Kevin Zasuico and 5 workers terminated for their reported involvement in an allegedly fraudulent workers' compensation claim 8 years ago. The set-aside is included in the port's 2020 budget that was approved by the Board of Directors of the port yesterday afternoon. Port Controller Jojo Guevara presented the budget to the board, explaining that the set-aside is there just in case. It'll be folded back into the budget if it does not have to be paid out. Of the 9 employees covered by the set-aside, 5 were fired from the port in December 2012 over an allegedly fraudulent workers' compensation claim filed by former port marketing manager Bernadette Stern-Meno over a fall Meno said she suffered in a port bathroom back in September 2011. 3 of the former port workers, Vivian Leon, Josette Chavalosa, and Meno, all have hearings scheduled today before the Civil Service Commission on their motions to either dismiss or void their terminations. The Guam Department of Education hoping to free up $2.5 million that it now spends every year on a third-party fiduciary appointed by the U.S. Department of Education, who oversees the department's finances now. Guam DOE has been a high-risk recipient of federal education funds since 2003, which resulted in the appointment of that fiduciary. During testimony on the budget bill yesterday at the legislature, Superintendent John Fernandez said he received a letter from U.S. DOE informing him that a 4th condition has been removed, leaving just 3 more conditions imposed by the federal government that still need to be met over DOE's finances. Senator Therese Terlahi raised the issue yesterday, saying the end of the third-party fiduciary could free up funds for other DOE needs. Fernandez attributed much of the progress to outgoing Deputy Superintendent Talene Taitno, who recently announced her resignation from Guam DOE. She'll be moving over to the Guam Waterworks Authority as the new Chief Financial Officer there. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Chris and Mike now with a look at our weather.
So, Kevin, I got a compliment from James Howard. He said, well played. So the way I'm going to announce this weather forecast is your cannabis growing weather today will be drier weather. Will settle in for the next couple of days with plenty of sunshine. I think plants need sunshine.
Yeah.
Warm temperatures and isolated showers. The forecast is partly sunny with isolated showers and thunderstorms, northeast winds near 10 miles per hour, highs around 89, lows near 77. Those thunderstorms will water the plants. And your sun today rose at 6:09. Your sun's going to set at 6:35. And now for Duke Sky Tucker with the expanded view of our cannabis weather. What do we got there?
Well, we'll take a look at radar here real quick, and we see some shower activity down to the southeast, but it's being pushed to the southwest by the northeasterly winds that have now moved in. So probably not going to make it here, and plus the stuff that is to the northeast of us is petering out pretty quickly as we do the transition in the diurnal cycles. So nothing to really worry about there. And the Weather Service says, just only isolated showers are likely the next couple of days. Looking at the satellite here, we can see why a lot of the blobbage is no longer around us as it has been for the past couple of weeks. Actually, since the start of the month, we've really gotten a lot of rain, but it looks like things will dry out now for the next couple of days. And we got some blobbage off to the west there. That is a non-designated system. It's really, look at it as the eastern terminus of a very weak trough system that also has a tropical depression on the other end of it. That would be Tropical Depression Podul or Tropical Storm, depending on which agency you're paying attention to. The Philippines also has named that system Jenny, and that is actually currently moving over the Philippines even as we speak and kind of petering out on its way doing so. But all the moisture getting pulled away with this trough of low pressure, and so it gives us a couple of dry days ahead, and that's good news. Now, they say as far as the forecast looking forward to the Labor Day weekend, I'm not sure. It's looking like it should be a fairly dry weekend, but still a bit too early to tell since we're only into Wednesday, and things change pretty quickly out here. So they said if you made any plans, so go ahead and just keep those plans for now, and we'll let you know if you need to make any adjustments.
All right. So that's news and weather on the point. We'll be back after these messages.
This is Ronnie. Ronnie is about to break his piggy bank.
Come on, piggy bank.
Ronnie wants to upgrade his smartphone.
And this piggy's gonna help me.
If Ronnie had signed up for GTA's handset payment option, he could have selected a new smartphone with an affordable monthly plan.
I could have what?
Exactly. Sign up for HBO at GTA and don't break the bank.
I'm sorry, piggy bank.
Terms and conditions apply. GTA, we start with you.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by my pals over at Ruby Tuesdays. It's Tuesday, and that means a couple of things. All day happy hour, and then all day today, 2 endless garden bars, a couple of entrees. Choose a dessert to share and pay one great price, just $29.99. There are some restrictions that might apply, but you find out about what those are with a quick trip to Ruby Tuesdays and celebrate that today. Portions also brought to you by American President Lines. APL Global Presence with a local home. Guys over at Cars Plus have extended the summer of Jeep to the end of August. So you still got plenty of time to run down there. Well, today's already the 13th. Maybe not so much plenty of time, but start feeling a little bit of urgency. Go and do a test drive and find out which one of those Wranglers would be the better, what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for, accessory for you. I know you got something to take you around, work and all of that stuff, but I'm thinking in terms of a car that can become almost a fashion accessory for you. That's what the Wrangler's all about.
Rediscover talk radio here. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Off a day, and welcome back to The Point. You're listening to The Ray Gibson Show with Chris Duenas, and during this time, as we invite our good friend Jerry Roberts in, first of all, we do the market report. The S&P, looking kind of stable, lost 9 points, I guess. NASDAQ is at 26 points minus. Dow Jones Industrial Average, a little bit deeper cut there, 120 points. There's some unsettling going on once again on the market. The FTSE came in under 5 points, kind of stabilized from yesterday. Nikkei actually jumped back up. Here we go again. There's the ping pong. U.S. markets start to take a little bit of a dip, and Nikkei shoots up, 195 points. Hang Seng Index, minus 16 points, so kind of stable there too. Let's see, where is oil?
While you're looking for that, Bitcoin at $10,131.10. That's a bit up from yesterday. So it's kind of been holding steady in that $10,000 range now for the past 4 or 5 days. So maybe a little bit of stability there with Bitcoin, which is something we haven't seen very much of.
Okay, on the U.S. side, oil is at 55.69. The change is plus 205. And so that's about almost 4%. Anybody can help me with Tapas? Ray said just forget it if you don't find it. We're going to guess again. Jerry, half a day.
$37.26.
$37.26. That should put gas prices at around maybe $2.40 a gallon.
That'd be good, yeah.
That'd be good.
I think Kevin's got it. He'll go.
I don't have it, but if it were 37, that would be a plunge of $30 in one day. Wow.
Come on.
63 yesterday.
So. This is almost a better way to do this.
We'll make it up.
Whenever I'm here, that's what I'm going to do. What's Ray going to do? Fire me? I'm fired.
The gas station guys are going to set the prices what they want them to be anyway.
Regardless
whether it goes up or down. If they want more, they're going to put on more. If they give us a break, it'll go a little less. I don't know that anybody watches those numbers anyway.
Jerry, I'm riffing on schools. I know. Here you go. My friend Jerry.
We're going to have to medicate that microphone, man. It needs a little blue pill.
You know what it wants? You know what it wants to do? It wants Jerry to kind of get into that the Elvis, kind of turn the head a little bit, hang on to that mic, and just let her rip.
But wait a second, baby. I haven't done it for so long.
No, right?
Hey, I've done it for a long,
But thank you, Chris. Thank you very much.
Those music days.
I appreciate that. Yes, yeah.
I told you. I didn't even know. I've been riffing on schools a little bit.
I got to get some donuts. Yes.
Don't forget that peanut butter and nanner sandwich.
James Howard would say you should have a little bit of a treat before your treat.
Is that right?
Yeah, you should have something before your donuts.
All right.
Maybe a little cannabis. Anyways, we were riffing on schools.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to catch you in the hall and just say, hey, Jerry, what was your experience? And you gave me a great backdrop. You gave me your LA experience. Then you gave me your experience that, you've been on Guam for so long now, and you saw something happen. So can you just give us a couple of minutes on that?
Well, in terms, I think what we're talking about is the degradation of the public schools. It all starts somewhere.
Right.
This didn't happen under John Fernandez's watch.
Sure.
He came in, and it was a bad scene already.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first came to Guam, the public schools, there were a lot fewer of them, first of all. I think the only 2 high schools were JFK and GW in those days. And then you had Academy of Our Lady, and you had Notre Dame, and the private schools were fewer in number. I think there was really only St. John's and the Guam Adventist Academy. I'm not sure how many others there were, but of the high schools, that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
And my recollection were, and I've talked to many people who went through the public school system in the 50s and 60s and 70s, et cetera, and they said the public schools were in pretty good shape at that point. But somewhere along the line, between the 70s and today, the ball began to be dropped. I don't know where that was. I can't recall. Politicians that were involved in that thing might have a better idea of when decisions were made. Maybe people who have been in the DOE for a long time might know when some of those decisions were made. Perhaps people at the union might remember when some of those decisions were made. But people make decisions all the time.
Sure.
And things begin to cascade in either direction. Either they go the right way or they go the wrong way.
Right.
And we've seen the public school system deteriorate over the past 20, 30 years, and maybe more. I don't know. I don't know when those decisions, but somewhere along the line, we kicked over a domino, and it began to knock over other dominoes, and here we are.
I told you I remembered the old Tamuning Elementary, and I remember, we had those big roll-away doors. We had the louver windows. The sun was shining, the wind was blowing, it was a breeze coming through, rain came, everybody had their assignment, run to the door, it closed about 4 of them, and the door became a wall, and it was a good school.
Yeah, but let's just all remember that there was a day in Guam where we had toilet paper, and people didn't have to bring their own, or if that's still going on. There was a day in Guam when the school supplies, and we had books, and we had all those things. There was a day when all those things existed.
I'm going to dub
and
that.
Today, some of those don't.
I'm going to dub that the toilet paper perspective.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
if you got toilet paper, things are going good. And that's the extra point. And now for the extra point, Jerry Roberts.
And it's brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
If you're building a career, there's a lot of really good advice in books, on the internet, and hopefully we offer some of that right here. Today we'll explore a few ideas that can help you get further and do better. That's next on The Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
A homeowner's policy protects much more than just your house. It also protects you against claims from someone being hurt on your property. If a visitor is injured at your place, how much are you covered for? The smart thing to do is get the answer today.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Career building back in the day was simple. Get hired by a good company, don't cause any trouble, and you'd basically be set up for life. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? That scenario would make a whole lot of young folks flat out ill these days. Job hopping is in and preferred by most. A LinkedIn study showed that millennials are likely to jump jobs, that is, switch jobs 4 times in the 10 years following graduation from college. Research indicates that most people will make career changes 5 to 7 times in their lifetime. That's average. Some folks will change up career paths 2 or 3 times that. Given those facts, here are a few ideas that may make a difference for you. Number 1, decide how rigid your plan should be. You have to know yourself and your ability to stay on a single course. Can you say, without any reservation, that the work you're doing now or are planning to do is what you will do for the rest of your working life? It seems like only yesterday that I felt radio was it for me. I'd never leave it. That I gave it up for creating and promoting events. That ended when I launched a business magazine. I left that behind for training. I've loved all of it. The point is, we change, our circumstances change, and what we want changes. Are you someone who will ignore any and all opportunities that come your way and stay with your current line of work? Or will you go with the flow and open yourself up to the many possibilities which come your way? Whatever your answer is, plan accordingly. Number 2, commit completely to your present. A lot of people never make a major commitment in their work because they always have one eye focused on those bright and shiny new options. They never take full advantage of where they are right now. How about you? Are you taking full advantage of your current situation? Have you maxed out your present opportunity? Number 3, strengthen your strengths. The best way to drive your career forward is to be great at what you do and be known for that. When people think of your type of work, Did they think of you first? If not, you've got more work to do. Number 4, be a bridge builder, not a bridge burner. This should be common sense for all of us. Leave employers, coworkers, customers, and vendors better off for having worked with you. Depart from all on good terms. This is important in all cases, but especially so in a small place like Guam. Careers are made and broken by the way we treat relationships. Don't ever forget that. And number 5, make those around you better. Let me put it this way. The best players in any sport find ways to help the other players raise their game. Is that what you do? It's the mark of a true champion and will make more people want to connect with you, do business with you, maybe partner up with you wherever you are and whatever you do. 5 tips on building your career you really want. In a few minutes, when the internet cooperates, I'll have the transcript up and you can grab number 392 at guamtraining.com. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3 in the Ray Gibson Show with Chris Duenas. For Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank, I'm Jerry Roberts.
Excellent market report. And I think we have some ads to run here, or we're just going to the bottom. Jerry, that was excellent. Thanks for always interacting with me. I really enjoy it. And, your Elvis impression was pretty decent.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right. Elvis is now going to leave the building.
That's right. See ya.
7:30 headlines right now being brought to you by GPSI Guam, professional services company, registered contractor for the federal government. You want to know how they might be able to team with you to get some Fed business or maybe to help you with your business. Call GPSI at 477-3058, 477-3058. Ask for Al, and 7:30 News is being brought to you by Lolita Camet of Remax Diamond Realty for all your real estate needs. Her number is 688-6743. Auntie Loli's number again, 688-6743.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning. Urson Raysalop, the man whose stomach was slashed open by his cousin during a machete attack in June, testified in Superior Court yesterday, said he did not believe his cousin Emmanuel Raysalop intended to kill him. He told jurors he was fighting with his cousin, who, he said, was only trying to stop him when he struck him with a machete. That time the machete was swung at me, said Urson. I saw it was out of fearness to stop me from getting to him, he said. Emmanuel Raysalop and his brother Jordan Rachulop are accused of attacking cars along University Drive with rocks and machetes in June. Both men face terrorizing and criminal mischief charges. Emmanuel faces an additional charge of family violence and attempted murder of his cousin. Samuel Tecker, Emmanuel Raysalop's defense attorney, said he would show that his client was acting in self-defense. A traffic stop along Swamp Road on Sunday, ending with the confiscation of methamphetamine and the arrest of 28-year-old Matthew Thogenmar. A patrol officer pulled over a white 1996 Toyota Corolla after noticing the driver was not wearing a seatbelt. Thogenmar gave the officer a bogus name and told him he didn't have a driver's license. According to the magistrate complaint, inside the car, the officer found 2 glass pipes and recovered 2 small plastic baggies containing residue that field tested positive for methamphetamine. Thogenmar admitted that he traded some marijuana for meth, and the original name he gave to the officer was false. He's now facing an allegation of possession of a Schedule II controlled substance. Well-known island environmentalist and avid recycler Peggy Denny came to the defense of the Mayor's Council of Guam yesterday over a pile of trash left by the now shuttered House of Cards at the Paseo. Denny telling the Guam Daily Post cleaning up the pile was not the responsibility of the Mayor's Council. She said she was doing the recycling at the carnival and sorting of the waste and hauling it away. But the cardboard pile got wet, so it could not be immediately recycled. She was waiting for it to dry out. Mayor's Council Executive Director Angel Sablan said the debris came from the signage from the entrances and common areas during the carnival. He said it was not vendor waste and was placed there by the carnival committee. The Department of Public Works cleared the trash away last Friday, and the Mayor's Council used DPW's account to pay for the tipping fee. Sablan said the waste amounted to less than the volume that would fill up the bed of a pickup. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
News time on the point is 7:30.
That's iConnect time. There's an iConnect store near you or online at iConnectGuam.com. Ask them about great plans they've got for your mobile internet. And if you're in business, definitely ask about push-to-talk plans.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
You're going to go, no way, Ray. We can't have those things together. You cannot put this meal together with that meal. Talking about the buttermilk chicken that they've got over there at IHOP in Tooele. Now, you would go in. You would go, just on my recommendation alone, you would go in and try the buttermilk chicken, and you'd love it. You'd love it. But IHOP, you know, breakfast place, right? So you get the buttermilk chicken, and you have that with your breakfast combo or your waffles or your pancakes, and you're going to go, I don't want fried chicken for breakfast. No, what planet do you come from where you eat fried chicken for breakfast? You try it. It'll change your life. You'll want to go eat there every day. Visit IHOP in Tooele and in Tumon.
Lolita Cammett from RE/MAX Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate RE/MAX professional, is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Cammett from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
All right now, traffic on the point. If you're near 10 and 15, basically there in Manila, that intersection, Santa Teresita Church, that's filling up quickly. A lot of traffic on the gizmo here. 8, 10, and 16, you can guarantee northbound, southbound, getting hot over there too, so just keep an eye out for that. Looks like over by Rev and Tax as well, near the bridge. Plenty of traffic there. And it looks like 16 and 27 near McDonald's in the Harmon Loop area. That's starting to get hot. Be careful out there. Enjoy your morning, sunny skies, and that's traffic on the point.
Coast 360 introduces our new youth banking program. Give your kids and teens a head start with Kids 360 and Teen 360, a program designed to help your child develop smart financial habits and learn about money. Introduce them to banking and get them on a path towards a thriving financial future. Plus, new youth members get a special lunch tote just in time for back to school while supplies last. Learn more at coast360fcu.com or visit your favorite member center. Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip, from custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps. They have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
Half a day, and welcome back to the Ray Gibson Show. I'm Chris Duenas, sitting in for Ray. Man, it's getting hot on Facebook. Some nice comments, too, though. Of course, I knew that James Howard was going to say, don't burn those bridges. I think we know what James Howard's suggesting that we burn. And, you know, Sandra, she's been having a lot of great comments. Sandra de Leon Guerrero. I know she's out there somewhere, I think, in the Midwest. She says, I think this is related to the schools. She says, you know, that's the Guam I remember growing up. Guam Public Schools and building my career. Everyone was building bridges. There's hope. Nick Porowski, I think he's a resident curmudgeon. Gov Guam has a totally different definition of bright and shiny new things. Oh, squirrel! And then, of course, Sandra also says, and I think this is with regard to the extra point, wow, that was awesome. And I got an awesome friend on the line, as reported earlier and as promised. Half a day, Senator Simon Sanchez from the CCU. How are you?
Buenas, Senator Chris. Sounding good on the radio. Ray might have to find a new job.
Oh, no. Ray's the man. Ray's the man. I'm just warming the chair, and I'm glad you decided to take our call and you know, Simon, the way that we wanted to call you because there's actually both editorials. I'm sure it's not a conspiracy, but dealing with energy and energy production, and so I just wanted to start with the fact that I know you because you're always one of those people. I remember when I was in the legislature, you always would text me, you give me information, make sure I was up to date on what you guys were up to, and so what the paper and the Post is calling for today in their in their write-up is for dialogue and making sure that supposedly the administration as well as the legislature kind of plays the check and balance with the CCU and what's going on with it now looks like in the days where we're leading up to a major award or completing the procurement for our new power plant. Can you maybe opine on that?
Sure. I mean, I'm very confident and very excited about putting into place this next piece of the puzzle that will allow us to add more renewable energy to our generation source, allow us to reduce the amount of oil that we use to make energy, and will allow for a cleaner carbon footprint because the fuel that we will be replacing, the current fuel we burn, the dirty fuel we burn, is a cleaner fuel.
Right.
It's gas. In the short term, we're going to have to burn ultra-low sulfur diesel because we don't have the permission yet from the PUC to move to gas. But, the chicken and the egg question is until you have a plant that can burn ultra-low sulfur diesel and or liquid natural gas, there's no point in talking about when are you going to put the gas station in, right? You need to have the vehicle first. So the PUC and what evolved was we are now in a position to put in a brand new generator to retire. It was originally designed to retire Cabras 1, 2, 3, and 4. But 3 and 4 left us a little early, a few years ago. But it is to retire Cabras 1 and 2. And why? Well, one of the things when I looked at the editorial, and I think all of us that think about it, is you have to remember we're dealing with. If you don't like this idea, you have to. It's comparing it to the alternative. Right now, we have 45-year-old generators at Cabras 1 and 2. We no longer have 3 and 4. They burn more fuel. They burn a dirtier fuel, and they don't respond well to renewables. You will never get to 50, 75%, 100% renewables if you're still relying on Cabras 1 and 2 technology from the 70s to be your baseline generator while you're migrating to 100% or whatever that number becomes with renewables, right? That's why even when you see Hawaii, who is one of the leading, is in the top 5 in the world in terms of renewables,
right?
The European nations, you don't hear any of them saying we're going to be 100% renewable next year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Hawaii is saying 2045. How many years is that, Chris? That's 26 years from now.
Sure.
So between now and then, you still need to keep the lights on.
Right.
Because the first, what is it that most people want from their power system? Right. What is the first thing you think that they value the most?
Reliability.
Yes. Some people will say, I want it to be cheap. Well, we can provide cheap energy if you only want it 1 hour a day, 5 hours a day, 12 hours a day.
Sure.
We can make it cheaper. But our community, the world, wants 24/7 power. So the first rule is reliability. Now, there are some communities that are 100% renewable now. There's this little island in Samoa, and I'm half Samoan, so I watch what they're doing, right? And they're 100% renewable. But it's only for 3,000 people, and they're paying 65 cents a kilowatt hour.
Wow.
Right now, with our generator and our oil and our old technology, we're paying 25 cents a kilowatt hour.
That's bad math there.
Right. So while it's nice to speak about 100% renewable, you've got this movement by some members of Congress saying we can be 100% renewable in the United States by 2030. But those of us that are in the industry, we just say that's just unrealistic. The idea is right, but in order to get to where you're going, you have to migrate there. You have to take interim steps. This generator that we are finally on the cusp of approving, we've been studying it for years.
Yeah.
Which with the poacher, we've had public hearings about it, what we plan to do, why we plan to do it. We've sent it to the PUC. They've had public hearings about it.
Right.
We've briefed prior governors. We've briefed prior senators. We've briefed the current governor. We've briefed current senators. So we've been very transparent about our plans and why we think we should do it. We got together with Senator Speaker Ben in 2008.
Right.
We said, let's do a energy plan. The Post says, we need an energy plan. Well, we've had one since 2008. And in that plan, Senator Ben, Speaker Ben, the legislature, and the governor the people that the Post wants to get involved,
right,
approved a law that said by 2035, please be at 25% renewables.
Right.
We're going to be there in 3 years, 14 years ahead of time. Now, Senator, how many plans are you aware of that one exists for DOE, the hospital, our roads, that come in 14 years ahead of schedule?
I'm going to have to give a big old goose egg on that one, Senator.
Right? So we're very proud, and technology has allowed that to happen, but so have the dedicated professionals of the Guam Power Authority, who are very knowledgeable people, who are ratepayers as well, and their kids are now ratepayers, and their grandkids are now ratepayers. We don't care about lowering that power bill, right? So they worked very hard. They have the expertise, and in 2008, we said, let's shoot for 25%. We're going to beat that. We then internally we do what's called an integrated resource plan, and we take that out to the public and we talk about it. We did one in 2008. We did one in 2013. We updated it in 2016. And our friends in the media, they were at those meetings. I don't know, they don't cover them, but they forget. They forget that we've been doing planning for years, and that integrated resource plan said bring in a new technology, move to a new plant that will allow us to add more renewables, because adding more renewables will reduce the amount of fuel that we burn for energy. And when fuel is 2/3 to 3/4 of your power bill, if you're not attacking fuel, then you're sticking your head in the sand. You better be attacking oil. And that's what this new plant does. It uses less oil than all the generators that we have. It will be more fuel efficient. It will burn two fuels that comply with the U.S. EPA and will lower our carbon footprint because they're cleaner fuels. And most importantly, it will allow us to add more renewables. And we were already working with Senator Shelton, and I think Senator Rigel is a co-sponsor.
Okay.
The new senators, they want to update Senator Benn's plan, rightfully so. So I think they were talking to us, and we've said let's at least shoot for 50% by 2030. That's what we're doing internally. We didn't need a law to tell us to do that. Our own knowledge and our own expertise says, hey, we think we can get there by 2030. And no one at GPA is saying don't add renewables. We're adding it. The legislature did pass net metering law in 2004, and that has remained in place since then. So the legislature has acted. It has created policies that move us towards renewable. GPA and the CCU has also created policies or implemented those policies to move us to more renewables. But on your way to 100% renewables, something still needs to keep the lights on while you're going there.
Sure.
And so we put out a bid for replacing Cabras 1, 2, 3, and 4 because Guam continues to grow. We were able to keep the lights on when we lost Cabras 3 and 4 in 2015.
Right.
But we had to go buy 40 megawatts of short-term capacity, small generators.
Correct.
And we had to reactivate 40 megawatts of capacity we already own, already paid for by the people of Guam. But we had turned them off because we didn't need them.
The fast tracks, right?
Right, the fast trackers. So they're back online, but they're not fuel efficient. They burn diesel, which is expensive, and we want to move all that capacity to a generator that burns a lower cost fuel. And I know that I chuckled when I read the Post editorial about how can you say gas is this because it's so unpredictable? Well, oil is unpredictable. Gas is a subset of oil, right? But gas is already lower than ultra low sulfur diesel. It's lower than diesel. It's a cheaper fuel source.
Simon, it wasn't
we want to go there.
It wasn't only like about 4 or 5 years ago, right? Or maybe a little bit longer than that. I mean, oil, packed over 100. You guys were scrambling to deal with maybe even going to quarterly LEACs, right?
No, we've never wanted to go to quarterly. We're allowed to. When we're $2 million,
when it goes crazy, right?
Right, but you know what? We've carried between $10 and $18 million of fuel costs that we have not passed on to ratepayers for a number of years. The LEAC has not gone up since May of 2018. The Post just ran a great article in the PDN about look at your gasoline prices. They're still higher today than they were in January of this year. They're higher today than they were last year. Yet GPA has not raised the LEAC, the fuel portion of your bill, since last May, a year and a half. It's not going to go up till, if at all, till February. So we're going to go 18 months without raising the fuel portion of your bill. Why? Because we're financially capable. We have some working capital, and we're saying, look, at this time, let's try to help the ratepayers. We'll carry some of that LEAC load, right? We're able to do that now. We weren't able to do that before. So we are managing this resource as carefully as possible because we know how critical it is to everyone. It's a big chunk of everyone's budget. We know that. We all know that. That's why we work so hard to come up with solutions and plans that will reduce the amount of the power bill. And the way to attack that power bill is you've got to reduce the amount of fuel. So, and that's what this new plant will do. And the side addition, the side benefit of this new plant is will allow us to add more renewables. Because while some people can leave the grid, and there's 2,000 people that are net meterers, that have either left the grid or partially get most or all of their power from their own system. But there's 50,000 ratepayers that haven't left the grid. And we have a responsibility to those 50,000 people to get them the lowest cost power possible, and that's what this new generator will allow us to do. And the alternative is to keep the Cabris 1 and 2 on. 45-year-old technology. They were originally rated to do 132 megawatts of power. They can only crank out 110 now, 45 years later. All generators have some degradation over time, and it just can't crank out what it used to, because when we're all older people, so we can't do what we used to.
Absolutely.
When it comes to a generator. So, and if you were to keep those generators, you'd have to put $300 to $400 million worth of scrubbers on old technology that won't allow you to add renewables.
For our listeners, Simon, because I remember you coming to the legislature with this, and the best you can do right now, because you wanted to comply, and you've brought a lot of that, and you're bringing more of that renewable energy online. But just so that our listeners understand, with an antiquated power system that we have, you just can't go with the energy that flows out of the renewables when the sun is at its peak and it's putting out so many megawatts. It's just, from what I understand, it's so hard to adjust those generators to take the peaks and valleys, and that's what our new generation would do, yeah?
Right. Yeah. The new generator can deal with the intermittency. That's the key. That's the key holdback for renewable energies. Is it's intermittent. It's not a generator you can count on. Its output. It's steady. You can dispatch it. You know what you're getting, right? But there's a really cool picture. I'll try to get it to you. We show the 25 megawatt farm in Dundon, right? We show it at 11:47 producing 25 megawatts on a wonderful sunny day, right? 7 minutes later, a cloud comes over that plant and it drops 15 megawatts.
Wow.
Now, the rest of now our island is saying, hey, I still want 100% of demand. I still need 100%. What do you mean you just dropped 15 megawatts? Somebody make it up.
Right.
Well, Cabris doesn't make it up very well. We turn on the peaking units because they can react quickly, but the peaking units burn more expensive fuel. So we know long-term peaking units isn't the way to manage intermittency. Battery storage is the way to manage intermittency. A new baseload power plant that, like the combined cycle that we're looking at now, that better handles intermittency. The old generators of the past do not handle intermittency because when they were built, they weren't thinking about intermittency from renewable energy. But that's the challenge of renewable energy. It's intermittent. Kauai had a period 3 weeks ago, and I don't know if you followed the story, but they can make 55% of their energy from renewables now. And of course, they have a little wind and they have a little hydro. But
they have a company, yeah.
Right, but most of it is solar, right? Well, they had a confluence. Mother Nature sent them a week of no sun, and their solar and the generator that now is the backup to their solar failed. And when the generator failed, the solar system couldn't keep the lights on because they couldn't make enough energy because Mother Nature decided to be cloudy that week. And then when the batteries ran out, they couldn't be recharged by the solar system. So they had load shedding for 5 days, right? So even as you migrate to a higher level of renewable, you need something that carries the load when the intermittency steps in, or when night comes in, or when Mother Nature is cloudy for 5 days. We saw the numbers here on Guam that day. That weekend we had 11 inches of rain. The output from the solar systems was so minimal.
Yeah.
Now, did you notice it? No, we kept the lights on. Why? Because you need conventional generation. Right. Eventually, this plant we build will become a smaller proportion of our total energy output as we add more renewables, as we add more storage. We're adding our first battery in October, 40 megawatts, right? Everyone says storage is the key, but 40 megawatts costs $40 million.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's only for
pass
30
a bill
minutes
for
of
that.
power. And that's only for 30 minutes. We need 24/7, right?
Right.
So, and I with my good friends in the renewable energy industry, and I can still consider them friends, even though we don't always agree.
Sure.
When we put out the bid for this replacement of Cabris, the PUC and the CCU said, hey, we are technology neutral. Do you want to bid nuclear? You want to bid solar? You want to bid wind? You want to bid conventional? Up to you. There was not one bid for 100% solar for 180 megawatts. There was not one bid. So where was the industry that's on the one hand says, hey, we can do all of this. You ought to not do this. Where was their bid? Because as you know, with GovGuam procurement, Senator Ben was very wise. You can't do unsolicited procurement. You can't call up Elon Musk and say, hey, I'm your friend, please bid.
Sure.
You can only deal with those that bid. And bid some very reliable and responsible and experienced providers. KEPCO makes 6 gigawatts of energy every day around the world. They make energy for Korea, they make energy in Israel, they make energy in South America. They run 30 times the size of what we make on Guam. They're very experienced. They also were the winning bidder for the solar plant, 60 megawatts of solar energy, at half the price we're paying for LEAC, including a battery.
Right.
So this is a very experienced group. None of us were surprised that the 2 winning bidders were out of Asia, because Asia money is so much cheaper now, and their whole approach to energy development is so different than American developers. The American developer was 50% higher than the 2 Korean bidders.
I could imagine. I know Taiwan is way ahead of the curve too. I've talked to some of the officials from Taiwan, and just as on a briefing level, and man, I tell you that Asia is really on fire when it comes to these integrations.
So we have a reliable bidder. They're very experienced, right? They run bigger systems and more systems than us. And in their bid, even they included a battery. So everyone is appreciating the interconnection and the interface of conventional generation with emerging technologies of renewables and storage. And even this new plant will have a battery, which is actually going to help us with renewables. It also will help us that if the plant goes down for whatever reason, they flip on the battery will come on and make up the difference, and we as ratepayers won't even notice it.
Sure.
Right? And so those are the things we are trying to put into place, and we have been studying this for years. And the legislature and the governor passed a law that said, hey, we're going to delegate these decisions to a group of elected officials. And I'm very honored to have been elected 5 times by the ratepayers.
Sure.
I represent the ratepayers. I don't and the ratepayers and GPA to me, they're the same people.
Right.
The ratepayers own GPA. So we, the ratepayers, have to give each other reliable power at the lowest cost possible. And that's actually a marriage of interest, whether you're the ratepayer, whether you think of it as a ratepayer paying the bill, or if you think of it as the owner of the Guam Power Authority, because each of us own a piece of that Guam Power Authority. No one else owns it. So we're responsible for managing it. And both the owners and the customers want the same thing, reliable energy at the lowest cost possible. This new plant will lower the power bill. I don't recall the editorial. In the editorial, they referenced that the CCU said that the base rate would never go up. I know I never said that. I've always said your bill will go down because we're attacking fuel. I'm not surprised that the base rate goes up a little, but the fuel bill goes down a lot. So if we're allowed to go to liquid natural gas, the fuel bill, which is now 15 cents a kilowatt hour, will go down to 10. Your base rate will go up 1 penny, right? So you go down 5 on one side of the equation, you go up 1 on the other side of the equation, you save 4 cents a kilowatt hour. That's why we recommend we should move to this plant, and we should move to liquid natural gas. Liquid natural gas is already cheaper than the fuels we're currently burning, or the alternatives that we would be forced to burn to comply with the EPA mandate for the Clean Air Act. Ultra-low sulfur diesel is the most expensive fuel you can burn, but it's the only one we can burn now to comply with EPA. And I respect the PUC's hesitation to allow us. We proposed this in 2013 to build a new plant and go to gas. PUC had their reasons for delaying, but when Cabarrus 3 and 4 blew up, it kind of changed the whole equation.
Right.
Said, let's move to the plant. Once we get the plant going, we will petition the PUC to let's revisit the migration to gas. Let us move to gas, because we're very confident. We have studied this. The whole world's going to gas. They're closing coal and going to gas.
That's what I'm understanding. Europe and I mean, we're way behind on this planning, from what I understand.
We're behind because, frankly, we're a higher renewable penetration than most communities.
But what I mean is, I guess I should change that to we're way implementation. I guess we're on the way.
Right, and we're out and moving. Moving to gas will lower the bill, and moving to this plant will reduce the amount of fuel we burn and lower our carbon footprint, and allow us to add those renewables that will further lower the bill and lower the carbon footprint, which I think is everyone's goal: reliable energy at the lowest cost possible that is environmentally friendly and compatible. And that's what this plant allows us to do, and it allows us to move on this migration towards a higher level of renewables. We're already doing other studies that will allow us to see the grid also has to be able to handle more renewables. You know, right now, the old grid only talked to 10, 15 power plants. We knew where they were, and they came from the same place forever. Well, now there's 2,000 people making energy on Guam right as we speak. They're all over the place. And the grid has to receive that energy and deal with it. And we got smart grid put in by where 50% was paid for by the federal government. We did that in 2013. We won. We were one of only 30 entities that won a bid in when Obama did the
shovel-ready project.
Yeah, so we won a bid. We got the feds to pay for smart grid in 2013. So we were already well aware that the migration to lower cost power includes upgrading the grid, moving to renewables, and moving to a generation plant that will allow us to keep the lights on while we add on more renewables. There's no quick fix. There's no overnight solution, despite what the pundits may want to say. And when you're talking about an island system, and this is the other thing, and I know I'm glad you alluded to the real estate tax example in one of your earlier conversations.
Sure.
But, you know, one of the reasons why power is cheaper in the U.S. than here is California buys power from Oklahoma wind farms, and they can send from Oklahoma to California that power. The states are trading power. Canada and the United States trade power all the time. Well, we don't have that in Guam. Island systems don't have that. That's why I look at Kauai. I look at Hawaii because they're like us. We can't bring in wind from Oklahoma. Can't afford the transmission. You would never be able to afford the transmission line, right?
I'm not dragging you into something, but I want to give you my example. Spokane sells to Portland.
Exactly.
It's a waste energy plant, though.
So one of the things, right, and that's something that perhaps someday we can look at.
Correct.
So that's why Guam is different. That's why Hawaii and Guam's rates are higher than the mainland, because we're isolated, you know, and so that's another thing. And more importantly, when it comes to how much capacity should you build and how much reserve should you build? I was just reading an article that said when you get to 100% renewables, you better have more than 100% of your need in renewables, because just like us now, we have 400 megs of capacity, even though our peak's only 260. Why? Things break. Things go down.
Spinning reserve.
Nature intervenes. So you need additional capacity. So even when you get to 100%, you're going to have to think about, gee, do we need more solar farms? And think about Guam. There's a max to how much renewables we can add on an island of only 212 square miles. Wind doesn't work here. Solar, these plants are taking 150 acres to build 25 megawatts.
Right on.
150 acre lots are there on Guam? So the next migration is going to be to rooftop, smaller providers of distributed energy throughout the island. That's where the next migration will go to. That's what GPA is also working on. But in the meantime, Cabras 1, 2, 3, and 4 needed to be replaced for all the reasons we just discussed. We're on the cusp of replacing them. And it still has to go to the PUC, and we have briefed all the other elected officials have briefed all the other elected officials, and Chris, you know this as well as anybody. The same people that are editorialists will beat up on other days of the week. Oh, you travel too much, or you can't pass a budget, or you haven't fixed our schools.
Everybody gets their turn.
Well, now they want those same people to look at the power plant, right? I mean, it's like, okay, they're not good enough to solve those problems, but now you want them to look at another elected body's, decision making.
Hard break coming up at the top, Simon. Senator, thanks a lot. And also, you have CCU meetings monthly?
Weekly and monthly.
Weekly.
By the way, I let me throw this out. I would love the Post and the PDN and yourself, if it's possible. Bring in Joey, bring in John, right? The one's an elected representative, and two's our experts.
Okay, Michael Knight's going to kill me. I got to roll, Simon. Thanks for making your point on the point.
Thanks, Chris. Have a great day.
Take care, brother. And you've been listening to The Point. We'll be back in the 8 o'clock hour with a bunch of fun stuff. Thanks a lot, Michael.
You're listening to KUSG Hagåtña.
Deal. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The maker of OxyContin reportedly in discussions to settle lawsuits related to the opioid crisis. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more live.
Lisa, one report says Purdue Pharma is willing to offer $10 to $12 billion in a settlement. While the company did not acknowledge the numbers, they did issue a statement saying they are willing to work toward a resolution with states' attorneys general and others. Nearly every state has sued Purdue and the family that owns the company, the Sacklers. Reports indicated the company was considering filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and terms of the settlement might even include the Sackler family no longer owning the company. The announcement comes just one day after a judge in Oklahoma ruled Johnson & Johnson engaged in false and dangerous advertising of opioids. Lisa.
Jessica, 4 former employees of a Florida nursing home where patients died in the days after Hurricane Irma in 2017 now facing manslaughter charges.
The 4 individuals now facing criminal charges failed to take the actions needed to protect their patients and render aid at a time when they needed it the most.
Hollywood, Florida Police Chief Chris O'Brien, a court appearance in Boston for actress Lori Loughlin and her husband in the college admissions cheating scandal.
The hearing was focused on Loughlin and her fashion designer husband, Massimo Giannulli, employing a firm that recently represented the University of Southern California, a plaintiff in the admissions case. The judge warned the couple that maintaining their representation with the firm could present a conflict of interest. But Loughlin and Giannulli's attorneys say the firm's matter with USC is separate from the admissions case and should not conflict, thus opting to keep their current counsel. But the judge must still rule on another potential conflict involving a second firm and other common clients.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Wall Street at the close, the Dow lost 120, the NASDAQ fell 26. America is listening to Fox News.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
Everybody's heard about the bird. The bird, bird, bird.
Circle K has a 3-pound rotisserie chicken, now available for the introductory price of $9.99. It's the biggest, tastiest, and most affordable rotisserie chicken of its kind on island. Save even more by getting a family meal with 2 sides and a bottle of wine for only $25.99. The Circle K rotisserie chicken. Get yours today. Circle K. Take it easy.
Women who say they were victims of financier and accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein stood before a judge in a Manhattan courtroom today.
14 women spoke in the packed courtroom, some asking prosecutors to finish what they started and go after Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators and enablers. Jennifer Arose, who has accused Epstein of raping her when she was just 15, said he robbed her of her dreams, a sentiment echoed by other survivors.
It's still going to be a rough road, but I also wanted to thank all the survivors that have reached out to me as well and telling me their stories.
New York City's coroner ruled Epstein's death a suicide, but in court, one of Epstein's lawyers challenged that, telling the judge his injuries were more consistent with homicide instead. The judge has not dismissed the case. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
The judge issuing an order temporarily blocking Missouri's ban on most abortions at or after 8 weeks of pregnancy while a lawsuit against it plays out in court. The ban includes exceptions for medical emergencies for the mother, but no exceptions for rape or incest. Planned Parenthood and the American Civil Liberties Union of Missouri argue the law is unconstitutional. Tropical storm Dorian strengthening as it continues to move west.
This storm could be anything from a broken tropical depression all the way up to a hurricane by the time we get towards the latter part of the week. We really are in a wait-and-see mode to see what transpires over the next few days.
Dennis Feltgen with the National Hurricane Center in Miami. A hurricane watch issued for parts of the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Rapper Meek Mill has pled guilty to a misdemeanor gun charge in a deal that resolves a 2007 arrest that kept him in prison or on probation for most of his adult life. Last month, an appeals court threw out his conviction over doubts about the arresting officer's credibility. The 32-year-old rapper, born Robert Williams, agreed to a deal that required him to plead guilty to a misdemeanor gun charge. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Coast 360 introduces our new youth banking program. Give your kids and teens a head start with Kids 360 and Teen 360, a program designed to help your child develop smart financial habits and learn about money. Introduce them to banking and get them on a path towards a thriving financial future. Plus, new youth members get a special lunch tote just in time for back to school while supplies last. Learn more at coast360fcu.com or visit your favorite member center. Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hafa, this is Robert Underwood. Chamorro self-determination is the belief that the native people of Guam deserve the opportunity to express their preference for the future political status of Guam. Since the Spanish arrived and the U.S. acquired Guam in 1898, the Chamorro people have never had the chance to formally express their preference for the island's future. Supporting self-determination is something all of us who love Guam and understand its history can support. This is why I invite all of you, regardless of your background or politics, to come out on September 2nd, 8 a.m. at Adelup for Fanohgi, March for Chamorro Self-Determination. This will be a peaceful and lawful walk from Adelup to the District Court. All are welcome, and it will be great for families and friends to bring signs and show their support for Chamorro self-determination. Its time has come.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Urson Raisalop, the man whose stomach was slashed open by his cousin during a machete attack in June, testified in Superior Court yesterday saying he did not believe his cousin Emmanuel intended to kill him. He told jurors that he was fighting with his cousin, who, he said, was only trying to stop him when he struck him with a machete. That time the machete was swung at me, said Urson. I saw it was out of fearness to stop me from getting to him, he said. Emmanuel Raisalop and his brother Jordan Rachulop are accused of attacking cars along University Drive in Manila with rocks and machetes in June. Both men face terrorizing and criminal mischief charges. Emmanuel also charged with family violence and attempted murder of his cousin. Samuel Tecker, Emmanuel Raisalop's defense attorney, said he would show his client was acting in self-defense during the trial. Public health officials have confirmed an imported case of dengue fever on island. It's the second confirmed case of the disease this year. It originated in Yap, according to a release issued yesterday by the Department of Public Health. The first case earlier this year came from Palau, according to that release. Territorial epidemiologist Ann Pubotsky said in the past, the majority of suspected dengue cases came from the Philippines, but there have been some recent outbreaks in the Federated States of Micronesia and in the Marshall Islands. So she said it's no surprise that visitors and travelers from those islands have brought the disease back to Guam. Pubotsky said that dengue fever is not endemic on island and the dengue virus transmission is not occurring here. There have been 41 reported cases of dengue fever on Guam in the past 31 years, plus the 2 confirmed cases this year. All of them have been contracted off-island, according to health officials. Also from Public Health yesterday, a 6-month-old baby has been diagnosed with whooping cough, a highly contagious bacterial disease, also known as pertussis. This is the 6th confirmed case of the disease in the past 3 months. It's not an outbreak yet, said Pubotsky, but another confirmed case of pertussis is of concern, she said. We'll have more news after this.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65%. For travel, back to school, a wedding, do whatever you want with the money. We just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
Whether it's for business or pleasure, staying connected when you travel is always essential. And now when you travel to South Korea, enjoy free data roaming with Docomo Pacific. Navigate the city, look up the best restaurants, email back home, or post all your pictures all on the go for free. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your postpaid account is ready for roaming. You plus Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See print ad for details.
10 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Take Care Insurance has filed for a temporary restraining order in an effort to stop the Department of Administration from proceeding with the award of a health insurance contract covering more than 11,000 GovGuam employees and retirees and their dependents. Take Care has already filed lawsuits in both District Court and Superior Court over the health insurance procurement process, challenging the law that requires them to provide coverage at Guam Regional Medical City. Take Care maintains those lawsuits should have stopped the efforts of both the Department of Administration and the Guam Judiciary from proceeding with their separate health insurance procurement efforts for their employees. However, both the Department of Administration and the Judiciary have gone ahead anyway with their procurement of health insurance for their employees. Director Edward Byrne telling the Guam Daily Post yesterday that DOA is proceeding with the award of a health insurance contract. And Judiciary spokesman Sean Gumatautau told the Post that Calvo Select Care has already been chosen as the health insurance provider for the Judiciary's roughly 400 employees. The 75th Liberation Committee spent over $578,000 on entertainers, caterers, fireworks, flowers, security, and more to put this year's Liberation Carnival and Parade on. The list of payments obtained by the Guam Daily Post shows nearly 100 vendor payment checks issued between May 21st and August 8th. According to the list, the committee collected $17,000 more from vendors than what they paid out. But that doesn't include the $428,000 paid by the bidders who won the right to operate the games of chance and the House of Cards. Cost of providing fireworks was among the top expenses. 4 checks totaling $75,000 were paid to Jams Media for the fireworks. Production costs for the headline performance by Guam-born singer and actress Pia Mia were just over $20,000. Hotel costs for the U.S. entertainers that came for the Liberation festivities totaled about